Isn't it true, that saying, God only gives you what you can handle? Because you'll say that, you'll out loud, you'll be like, I could not handle that. Yet you have had hard things that maybe I couldn't handle. Like everyone's got their different hard. And I've just watched her. It's amazing. Like,
on this third installment of our May Mashup with the We Share podcast, Alex and Julie sit down with Heidi Bluemel, a mother and business owner who has faced MS for the past 10 years. Welcome to the We Share podcast. I'm Julie.
I'm Alex.
We share ourselves and we provide a platform for others to share.
We believe everyone has a purpose and a story to tell.
And we're back on the We Share podcast. I'm Julie.
And I'm Alex.
And it's our third installment of Mashup.
Another mashup.
Milet
Mashup.
Milet May Mashup.
3M.
Alliteration all the
3M.
time.
We should get sponsored by Scotch Tape.
Well, look,
shameless plug.
At 53, I'm getting to that point that I'm going to start Scotch taping my eyes a little bit and just doing that unnatural facelift.
And then bringing our hair over.
Who's got the change to go get a facelift? I don't got that kind of coin, so Scotch tape it is. 3M.
We already talked about that. I think facelifts. I mean, we're at that age where people are doing that. But when you cut your face, then all of a sudden you have to do your ears.
Yeah, it's
and then
so
what's
weird.
Next? And then your neck, and then
you're pulling everything in.
Then you're like, gosh, dang it! I need my toe. My toe's looking fat now because I did everything else. So I'm just gonna try to be happy with.
We're just gonna age naturally here.
Keep drinking kombucha.
Yeah.
Another shameless plug. Synergy kombucha.
And please sponsor us.
Sponsor the show. Sponsor my beverages. Water in my Hydro Flask.
Hydro Flask can sponsor us.
Yes.
We're fine.
We'll take all the sponsors.
Yeah.
But that being said, we're just happy to be back mashing it up for May.
Yeah. So we have done this series of mashups because we're so grateful for the people who have joined us over these few years that we've been doing the We Share podcast. And we wanted to revisit some of those episodes. And as Alex and I were like looking through our past episodes, it was fun to watch us because we're like, oh, you remember that?
So many great moments and people.
Yeah, it's fantastic who we're surrounded by. So today, for our May mashup, we are going to highlight Heidi Bluemel.
Heidi Bluemel. Beyond True Blue, Heidi is her Instagram handle. Mm-hmm. She's an amazing business owner, mom, and a survivor and warrior with this journey she's had with MS. From living with MS and all her treatments and exhaustion to traveling to California to get stem cell transplant. And to this recovery that is miraculous.
She's doing so well, by the way.
Amazing. She looks amazing. She's glowing.
Her hair has returned.
Yes, it's like a bob
probably,
now.
It's like this cute little bob, probably 3 or 4 inches long.
Yeah, it's like
so
the
cute.
cut that a lot of people are doing right now. So she's on trend, which
of course
she always is on trend.
She would set the trend.
Yes, and she's getting ready to go back to Italy to do Ted X again in Modena, and we need to have her back in to hear about it, but we're going to take some of the best clips from her 2 episodes where she just shares her journey and heartfeltness, and if that is even a word, heartfeltness.
Yeah, well, she's just such a genuine person, which is one of our attributes that we try to highlight here at the We Share podcast. I have known her for 9 years now. I have the ability to remember the 9 years because my first year in radio was the first year I interviewed her for Ted X.
Yes.
And so I was interviewing her for Ted X almost every year. And then she had this ability and we interviewed her for We Share. And then she had this opportunity to raise money and go down for the stem cell treatment.
Yes.
She's had MS since she was, if I remember correctly, 17 is when they diagnosed her, right?
I think that was when
her
she had
first
mono.
flare-up. Yeah,
and then
that's what it was.
when they figured out that
and then they diagnosed her years later with the actual MS.
Yes. And I met her because she started Sundown City about the same time I started Superfly. So we were,
business owners
in Idaho Falls. And then she came to classes at my studio and brought her daughter, Bree, to Little Mommy and Me classes. And so we got a bond over that. And she's just an amazing human. I love her.
The fact that she has touched so many parts of our lives like this such a good example of who she is as a person.
Absolutely.
She's just that warm. And when you meet her, no matter what part of her life it is that you're meeting her on, whether it's a business owner, Ted X, her illness, and so warm.
Yeah. Isn't it true that saying, God only gives you what you can handle? Because you'll say that out loud. You'll be like, I could not handle that. Yet you have had hard things that maybe I couldn't handle. Like everyone's got their different hard. And I've just watched her. It's amazing. Like
I remember specifically from her, one of her visits, she talked about the pain that she endures, and she talked about her feet and how her feet don't ever stop aching.
Yep, just throbbing.
And she had lived that way for years. Now she's not experiencing that now because she's had such great success with the stem cell. Basically they killed off so much of her body and then brought it all back with the stem cell replacement.
Which is encouraging, because if this really works, then we need to find a way in medicine to do better, to
economically
afford it for
provide
everyone.
It. Yeah. So we'll have her back on. We'll grab a couple of things, but we wanted to make sure that you were reintroduced to Heidi if you hadn't visited any of those previous episodes that we've done, and just a little teaser of her coming our way.
Highlight from Heidi.
Julie here. After re-listening to Heidi's episode, I remember all of those emotions that I felt, and I thought it would be a great idea for you to just get the baseline, the idea of what Heidi had to do to go participate in the stem cell therapy. So let's take a look at this clip first.
So a year ago in January, I was doing pretty good, and then out of the blue, I had a relapse. Like nothing triggered it. We can't, pinpoint what happened. I just was getting, like, at the gym, after like 30 minutes of the treadmill, my left foot started to drop and my legs were going numb, and I had no idea, and they couldn't find a lesion at the time, but my doctor thinks that it was a lesion on top of another lesion, and so it was kind of
masked a little bit,
hiding it. But so this relapse started to affect my mobility. It was stiffening my right leg, and from the waist down, I was like numb, icy hot, tingly, like weird feelings that you don't.
Did you ever fall?
I didn't like fall, but
Just kind of
I would get like tripped up. And so I was labeled like a fall risk. And one of my doctors was like, I would feel safer if you got a cane. I'm like, what? Excuse me? I can't do that right now.
Well, do you mind telling people how old you are?
Oh, I just turned 37.
37. Yeah. So that would be.
But she looks like she's 24.
She looks younger than 37, and then to be told use a cane?
Right. And so it was because this April, I will have had MS for 10 years.
Right.
So I got diagnosed at 27, but the last 2 years, it started to progress a lot faster than like the normal 1.5 to 2 year flare up. It was like, I'm not metabolizing my current drug right anymore. And now my mobility is affecting me.
So did you feel like you were switching back to like progressive form of MS versus the relapse remitting that you have?
So that's interesting, because after 10 years, a large amount of individuals who have relapsing remitting turn to secondary progressive.
Okay.
And that's just where your flare-ups are just getting more frequent and they last longer. And so you're getting more damage. And so I think I was just how everything was laying out. And so in January last year, we started talking to my neurologist about different treatment options. Well, I'd already failed 3 therapies, and I wasn't metabolizing my current one very well anymore. So he said my only option was to look at a stem cell transplant. And that, like, just switching a DMT takes like 4 months. And then if it doesn't work, then you have to go back. And my husband and I talked about it, and we had heard of stem cell transplant about 6 years ago. But it was so new, and my babies were so little that I couldn't do it.
Right. You didn't. Well, and having also tried that new one that kind of took you out for a year and a half, it probably scared you. You're like, I can't be out for a year and a half again.
Oh, yes. And it was a chemotherapy, which was stem cell. You have to do chemotherapy as well.
Oh.
And so it was a huge, like, if this is my only option, this is like a Hail Mary. Everything is like prayers galore, because didn't have an option.
Well, and much like we were talking about before we started podcasting, you're absent.
Absolutely.
It is you're void from your family for a long amount of time.
Yeah, you're in the hospital.
Yeah. So how the process worked is after I met with my neurologist, like February, March, then we started working on getting in contact with the location. And so the U.S. has a few locations around. It just depends how extreme the treatment is. Like, does it have radiation with it? What type of chemo? How strong, how long they keep you there. And we ended up finding Dr. Burt in San Diego. And he got me in it in May, and he had to do the pre-screening test. And he's like, yeah, you're kind of like on that border. Like, we will approve you if you come. But I would have to be away from my family between like 5 and 8 weeks. My trip ended up to be 5 weeks, which I'm grateful for. But it was from May to September, I had to get off my current medication. So I was on steroids every month to keep the relapse down. And then when it came time for October, I went to California. We packed up, and I was there for 2.5 weeks. And I was given shots to stimulate the cell growth so they could harvest it at the end of 2 weeks. And I had 1 round of Cytoxan, which is chemotherapy, and a drug called ATG, which is kind of like another chemotherapy, and Mesna, which Mesna helps coat your bladder because the chemotherapy can ruin your bladder. So that was just the first 2 weeks.
Oh. But your kids
let me
were
dump
with you
me,
for
yeah.
that part?
Nope.
Or no?
Oh so
gosh.
I had to leave. Before I left, I had really long hair, and we chopped it. And then my
Your
cousin,
daughter cut it, right?
they cut it when I came back.
Oh, okay.
But I had a good friend cut it for me. And my cousin came and stayed the 2 weeks in October. But it was like perfect, right? Like we missed Halloween. And then we came back the 1st of November, and I got to stay home for a week. And that's when my hair started like to fall out. I was in the shower just washing it, and it just like came out. And so my husband's like, yeah, we probably need to shave it now. So we waited till the kids got home, and we shaved my head. And then a couple days later, I had to pack up and leave. But this time, instead of staying outpatient, I had to be admitted in the hospital on the transplant floor.
Julie again. Then Heidi shared with us some of the struggles that she had while she was down participating in the stem cell therapy.
I think the nighttime was the hardest because I would FaceTime my kids to see how school was and see how their day was going. And then I just was trying to be strong and not cry in front of them, because then when I got off the phone with them, I just lost it. Oh yeah. Yep. It was everything. And I remember one day my son, we had FaceTimed him. He got a haircut and he wanted to show me, but he got hurt in some way. I can't remember if he like busted up his lip or something. And oh my gosh, the tears were right there, because I'm just like, I just want to hug my baby boy and tell him it's okay. And I'm not there as a mom to comfort him.
Julie again. And then Heidi talked about how difficult it was emotionally to go through the stem cell therapy.
Definitely worth it. Hard. I think certain aspects were a lot harder than what I thought. The emotional side was harder than the physical, which I thought it was going to be the opposite. Because I'm not one who likes to like have like stomach flu issues. And so the chemo really stressed me out because I didn't know, like how your body was going to respond. And I actually responded pretty decent to the chemo. And I wasn't as nauseous as I thought I was, but it was just the emotional change that took me by surprise because I'm not really a crier, unless I'm like pushed to that breaking
You're
point.
probably just used to being so tough.
That's what I was going to say. You've
Like
been battling it for 10 years.
So you're like,
Yeah.
I can handle physical pain.
Yeah.
I know what that is.
Right. It's just the emotional was like, and when you go in for chemo, it does take a toll on you emotionally. And so there were times that the nurse would come in and be like, hey, how are you doing? And I would just break down and just bawl.
It's Julie again. I also wanted to make sure we touched on a portion of Heidi's podcast where she talked about how there were days she just took micro steps getting there and how scared she was about the change.
So excited to get back to the life that I grew up with that had to just be completely shut down at the age of 27.
Right. Heidi 2.0 just
Yes,
released
yes,
a new
yep.
version.
I'm really excited, but there's kind of a little nervousness in the back of my mind. Like, how long is this going to last for? Like, am I going to wake up again one day and have it be like symptoms flaring up? Like, so there's a little bit of caution.
Well, I think you'll build your faith and trust in it as you keep getting more time
Yeah.
in it, but also like positive mental attitude. We've learned that. And if you were podcasting a lot, like listening to things when you're in there,
Yeah.
the power of the mind is amazing. Like what we can actually do and overcome.
Absolutely. And it's just like, if you can't take 1 week at a time or a year at a time, and it's just like how I was in the hospital, taking 1 hour at a time, just keep reminding yourself, like, I can do this. We can do this. I can handle this. Just baby steps, micro baby steps, whatever you need. But it's very, very real.
And then later in the podcast, Heidi started to talk about how her relationship with her Savior, Jesus Christ, affected this whole entire process.
No doubt. No doubt. I've never felt so much peace at such a terrifying time.
Well, it's chaos and peace that reside together.
Yeah. And I know that it just didn't come from me because sometimes you rely on other people when you're at your weakest. And I know that my prayers were just like, just please help me not throw up today. When other people, I mean, I could feel the prayers and I know it was real because there is no way I could get through that by myself. Like, absolutely no way. It's by far the hardest thing I've ever done. And I could just tell a difference that whole time. And now when I'm back getting ingrained into my normal routine, that strength and that peace is like still around, but it's not like it was when I was in the hospital. And there were so many I want to say like so many tender mercies that I felt and that happened in my experience that just confirmed to me that faith and love are a huge critical part of my life. And I know that's what sustained me.
And before we finish out the episode, I would just encourage anyone who wants more information about this specific kind of stem cell therapy treatment, listen to the entire podcast, especially the last third. Heidi Bluemel goes deep into what it takes to be able to qualify and how this sort of stem cell therapy treatment could be beneficial for other autoimmune diseases, not just the one disease that she has, but many others. So, like I said, I would highly encourage you to listen to the entire podcast if you want more information on stem cell therapy. But we'll end right now with Heidi's closing words when she joined us.
Yeah, this treatment, just to think back on it, anybody who has multiple sclerosis or an autoimmune disease, Dr. Burt's was treating like Crohn's and scleroderma, and he has things, he wants all the autoimmune diseases, could respond very, very well to this. And if you're having, your first initial diagnosis with MS or anything like HSCT, there's not a lot of information. You have to dig, you have to look for it and talk to your neurologist and be proactive about it. But this treatment has changed my life. End of discussion. That is it. Yep.
It's a great way to end.
Yep.
Thank you,
All right.
Heidi.
2 years.
thank
I'm
you,
marking
girls.
it on the calendar. We'll be back.
Okay, we'll be back.
Thanks for joining us today on the We Share podcast.
If you've loved what you've heard, please give us a 5-star rating. Tell your friends and share this show.
You can also follow us for recipes, lifestyle and fashion tips, book reviews, and more on WeSharePodcast.com.
Join our Share Squad and sign up for our newsletter there.
We would love to connect with you.
We share on TikTok, Pinterest, Facebook, and Instagram. Give us a follow.
A big goodbye squeeze and sending you all our love from Alex and Julie.
Join us next week on the We Share podcast.